Welcome everybody to episode 188. I almost said 87. This is the brand new, hopefully it stays intact, episode of Bloody Thumbs podcast. One of the issues we had previously, the reason I didn't have the chance to post this yet is there were some technical difficulties on the last episode we recorded. It was more of a kind of a catching up episode because it certainly was some time that had gone since we last recorded. So unfortunately, for now, I'm going to consider it and label it as the last episode of Bloody Thumbs. I think we've had less than a few of those. It was very rare that we had those lost episodes. I mean, in the early days when we were posting on Spill, I may have had an episode or two that we had lost.
Yeah, there was a few just because of recording or programs or Belkin.
For whatever reason, the setup I had back then was very, very pirate radio setup at the time. It's better now. It ain't amazing. I mean, it'll be very optimal and ideal. But this is just me always wanting to go to the highest level. It would be to have our own little podcast studio that we can record in. And if CH can't make it in to where we are, I'll just have like a computer monitor with his face on it, and then it'll just be automatically looking back and forth like one of those high-tech conference room meetings that you see like in in Demolition Man in the future.
I thought you were going to say to have me looking back and forth like one of those clocks that are in the shape of cat eyes, just like looking back and forth in the studio, just like having a very intense conversation. And then cuts to you, like, giving a very specific, like, no, you don't understand, it's about this thing, and then it cuts back to me trying to make a serious discussion point. You see the cat eyes going back and forth with a static image.
That's how I would love it. That's also an idealistic approach. But we'll see. I need to work on it more and see what happens. Hopefully on this one it's a lot better. I rolled back. This is the first time where rolling back is the better option than upgrading. I've always been told ever since I started using the computer and took classes that I really didn't need because I already learned everything I needed to know about the computers. It's best to upgrade, better security, safer security. And this is the rare exception where it backfired on me and bit me in the ass and potentially lost the whole episode.
Don't believe them. Like, unnecessarily upgrading now has become faux pas, just because of all the technological problems that come with it, including, I'm a Mac user, so a lot of the new upgrades lock me out of my old programs. They don't update, and so they can't read them. Like, I had a huge problem with Final Cut Pro just because I couldn't, my system could not update to that, so I had to reconfigure it to figure out that, and it's just automatically updating to the best, biggest, newest thing isn't always the best, especially when you rely on programs that are not going to be there for either performance or licensing issues for the next thing. So I think it's wise to keep yourself going to the new frontier.
Yes. And if you guys haven't forgotten or have forgotten, I am Splinter47, and joining me as always is the co-host extraordinaire, CH Gorog, the Gorog from the Force Unleashed 2.
Hey, howdy, hello.
He goes by many names.
I'm glad that they used my likeness to great effect. It was wonderful working with Sam Worthington. I'm sorry, not Sam Worthington. That wouldn't be fun. Sam Witwer from. He knocked it out of the park with that role, and I love Sam Witwer. But yeah, thank you very much. And I do wonder I genuinely wonder if they actually did any research of just like, oh, there's like, nobody would be named Gorog. That's the stupidest name ever. Let's put that as an alien.
Exactly. I mean,
yep.
Where else better?
I'm glad that I'm canon in the Star Wars universe.
You technically are. You technically are. As much as Disney tries to sweep that stuff under the rug and I acknowledge it, but you are. You're very, very key to the
Over
Star
my
Wars
dead body,
universe.
Disney. Mara Jade is still my waifu.
Let's remember to never don't upgrade anymore. I mean, I've been burned a couple times myself when upgrading my Android, and I've deeply regretted it because it just sometimes takes a lot of time to put everything back to the way they were. I'm very OCD when it comes to where my icons are, where my app icons are, and I have to rearrange them again and remember them off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not the only one, but
yeah, it's even just like the maintenance of where you keep your stuff in your computer is very particular, and if it's the what is it feng shui of desktop management.
yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I've kind of been very free with it, and all it is, my background, all it is just different icons all over the screen. It can be very disorganized to some, but I know where everything is. Don't touch it. Don't move anything.
It's like I need that document.
Like,
it's from 2006. It's a grocery list. I might need it.
Yeah, it's just like digital hoarding at this point. This is my old folder here. There's nothing in it, but in case I need it, it's right there.
I think it's more dangerous just because it's the fact that like physical hoarding, at least you see it. Like you can see it take up space. With digital hoarding, it's like it's in the bowels of your laptop or desktop, and no one will ever see it.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to reiterate this year was, we definitely want to work on more on the website. I know it's been kind of here and there. CH has done a lot more work than I have when it comes to the posting on the website, but I'm working on being better at that for sure, and definitely want to always keep the top going with you guys that take the chance out of your days to listen and take some time, even for CH and I, just to kind of get together and do it whenever we can. Just life responsibilities, man. Working on all sorts of things. We're working on mobile games here and there, and it's been kind of one of those things where we got as much as we like to do it, so we gotta take care of our own
life interrupts.
Gotta take care of our own life and our own responsibilities we have. So greatly appreciate you guys that are very patient with us as we pump as much content as we can whenever we get time. But I love doing it. I never stop loving doing it, and I do it for free as long as we get control of what we can do when we can do it. So I've always been a proponent of that, and always been a part of that idea. It's always been in my head to do it for fun. And it gets to the point where we get paid for it. That'd be awesome. But
yes,
it'd be very awesome. Yeah, then we'll see a lot more stuff, and you probably get sick of us by the time all the stuff we'd be posting.
Oh yeah,
but I love where we are right now, and we can only improve upon that, and we can only do as much as we can. But
yes,
there's that. Just been busy with that. I didn't mention, you probably have already seen it, but I'm very much the tattoo connoisseur. But I've already added another collection to me. If you guys haven't already seen, I've already added a new Witcher tattoo. I made a nice little colorful Geralt of Rivia spread on my arm. So we got Ciri and Geralt on one on each of my arm. You get to put them together. It creates magic.
Mm-hmm. They are. Yeah, they are. You got the whole Witcher clan on for your tattoos, and definitely thank you very much for keeping me updated on the Instagram accounts of just the photos.
Oh yeah. I mean, Instagram is the best place for to kind of keep up with here and there, keep up kind of what I'm doing, what I'm eating, what I'm seeing. So there's a lot of that out there. I found I didn't realize it until quite recently when I actually kind of hopped back on Twitter. Sort of. I've kind of not as active. I don't really look at it because it's just kind of not been a part of my daily habit anymore. It's just I'm usually not always on Instagram, but I'm on there more often than Twitter. But I got back on Twitter and I was like, oh man, I forgot kind of how cool it is just to kind of see a whole feed of people that you follow, and it's like, oh shit, I forgot I followed Max Scoville. It's like, oh man, and then I had memories about Destructoid, and then it's like, oh man, I see all these different people that I've followed on Twitter from various avenues, and it's like, man, it just makes me want to get back on it. I occasionally check it, but I'm not as active as I am on Instagram when it comes to kind of viewing things. I kind of get a lot of my news from there, I think, from what I've gathered.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we would probably be a part of it more if it was our active careers, but it's still fun to be a part of it and to advertise and just to go through the social media sphere and just share and see what others have shared.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that it's still as active as it was when I last had used it on a habit basis, because it's such a great way to connect with everybody, and it's like at least a good, decent alternative than actually having people's numbers. You have your own social circle of things that you're interested in to keep up with, and you also have, we had people and we had listeners that we've already developed, that relationship with, and on the listener podcaster level, and also as just as all kind of really cool with each other. It's just from transitioning from the spill days till like now, and we have our friends at the BGB. They're always cool, always cool catching up with them and keeping up with things that they're up to as well. So we all very, very positive, and we always support each other, and it's cool to have that on there that's still continuing. I don't know if it's as popular as it is other platforms right now. I know, I think there's other app called Vero. I think it's kind of picking up steam, but I haven't really delved into it as much. But there's that, and Facebook will always be a thing. As much as I don't really I'm not the type of person that delves into posting things on there every minute about what I'm doing, but it's
confusing.
It's always there. It's always there, but you don't commit yourself too much time with it.
No, and you also want to keep your profile very. If you want to keep it professional, you got to keep it very basic, and just not be too expressive one way or the other, because you don't want people to be like, well, what did you mean by this comment here, and get into a kerfuffle. Because I got into that over just liking a post that somebody else had posted.
Oh, yeah.
And I got into an argument with one of my friends of just how could you like this post? I liked it because it had a piece of the argument I thought made sense. It's just, and that is problematic. And just Facebook is a little too jack of all trades, master of none sort of thing.
It is. It definitely is. It's a interesting balance, and it's depending on how you want to use it. It's kind of your own prerogative. I don't really have anything super personal on there. I don't want to add my work on there. It's just not me. I'd rather just keep it to myself, and I don't want people to somehow find me through my work or anything. I just keep that stuff separate. And even so, who knows how much of what you do online or what your social stuff, who knows how much is really looked at by your employers. Yeah. But I always keep it safe. And if there's certain posts that I feel that may cause issues for whatever reason, I don't really comment in general. Anything YouTube, Facebook, I don't really comment on much stuff. It's never been my bag. I always kind of just comment about it and myself or Kat, but it's not never need to fully go out there and fully comment on something unless it's something else, maybe family related. But anything that's just has to do with news related things or just anything in general. Besides that, the family related things, that would be the only time that I wouldn't post things on there. It's never been my thing, and I'd rather just avoid liking something that may be considered questionable, just to avoid all that discussion you just mentioned.
Well, everything's political now, where it's and you can get fired for having the wrong opinions either way, where either side of the aisle, or for holding a political belief that is not in vogue with the rest of your staff. So it's just much wiser to keep workplace stuff at workplace, keep your personal stuff by yourself. And it's also, there is something to be said that I do like the idea better of people discovering the work that I do through a genuine interest in finding that work rather than knowing me through my profiles and then discovering that through me rather than just, the person, the ideas rather than the person.
Yeah, it's also kind of interesting that I'd rather not give off too much info because it sometimes can be kind of it can be kind of it's different. It's a very different kind of experience of getting to know people because you could easily, if you follow other people, you could easily know a lot about them based off of like how often they post or write things about what they're up to, and it's really crazy how you know a lot about a person without actually having to meet them or hang out with them. So yes. I kind of avoid that. Just kind of post things that I like, but I don't really write a journal or diary to really get into it. Just more of.
You don't have your live journal?
No, I have a live journal. I just post what I like, photos, videos, anything related to kind of what I'm doing, and just kind of I put it out there for family, and I put it out there just kind of as my own kind of collage for myself. That's kind of probably why I use Instagram the most, because it's kind of my own digital collage of things that I like and things that I've posted to kind of preserve my memory. I guess there's also the discussion that you can also do that with just putting it on Google Drive as well, but it's not as fun.
It's you want to share it, but you don't want it to be too ubiquitous. I don't know if that's the right word for the idea, but it's definitely like I want to share it, but I also want to keep it bite-sized, like enough for people to enjoy, to whet their appetites on.
Yeah, that's just kind of where I draw the line in most of the time. That's kind of why I stick with it, and I wouldn't consider it censoring myself or it's just kind of being smart, and also just not the type of person that looks for attention a lot. It's just it's not. I wouldn't consider it censoring myself because you feel like you're gonna get fired from something. It's just more kind of common sense. We've turned into. I watched Demolition Man. We've turned into the future that is Demolition Man. Everything's too. Everyone gets offended by something. It's too.
What are the three shells for?
I still don't know CH. I still don't know what the 3 seashells. How to use it. I don't know.
I laughed so hard when I found those in Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Oh, but yeah. I'm surprised we didn't get to see. We didn't bump into Rob Schneider so we can beat him up.
One can help. There's always chance for a sequel to Mankind Divided.
Yeah, it is definitely open for that.
Rob Schneider Divided.
Rob Schneider. It's Rob Schneider Divided.
He's a carrot. There's some things which it's good to celebrate and share, like our own works. And for instance, there in popular culture, we have our video games here that have made it to the Video Game Hall of Fame, which this year has seen several inductees to the particular organization, which is based in Rochester, New York, where they've inducted Donkey Kong, Halo, Pokemon, and Street Fighter II into the Video Game Hall of Fame. I'm not sure how interested people are in terms of this news, but it's nice to see that there's at least some recognition for past games in terms of just kind of being industry leaders. It does seem to be. I don't know if there should be like kind of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in terms of like how long you've gone in terms of being in the industry, or somebody's got to vouch for you, or to what extent needs it to be. But that's what has happened on May 4th.
Oh, very awesome! And we had the Star Wars Day as well, which I trollishly just posted a picture of Spock of saying "May the Fourth be with you."
Oh, you
classic gag.
You got some people mad.
I'm sure I did. That's just the whole running joke I've seen online with not just girls, but people that try to get into the fandom of something and they don't know what they're getting into. They don't know at all what they're trying to pretend to be a fan of.
It's like, was it You're a Wizard, Luke Skywalker, and then it has a picture of Spock, and then it's credited to Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I mean, things like that, they get way out of hand with trying to play up something that you're not a fan of because everybody else likes it. But I guess that's very cool that we had some of these classic games get inducted to the Hall of Fame there. It's good to see that being out there, and just always anything that we can do to celebrate and commemorate just great games that have paved the way to now is always good on my book. I had a question, I had a thought that I want to ask, a question that I wanted to ask you prior to getting on, because I didn't really look online to see kind of what's going on right now. It's just kind of I enjoy talking about what I've been playing the most, because that's kind of a lot of what I'm interested in, just kind of what I've been playing, because that's what I've been playing. I wanted to ask what is your source of news for games really what have they been recently? Because I know that a lot of gaming news is very a mixed bag. Some of it can be very questionable in terms of like the legitimacy of the news itself. It sometimes can be considered kind of clickbaity sometimes when it comes to just the gaming websites in general. Honestly, it's kind of fallen out for me, really. I haven't really kept up at all with gaming news, and I'm surprised even in myself that I even know kind of what's going out and what's coming out. I guess because I may see them through ads, or I may see them because I just happen to follow the IGN's YouTube channel and just kind of see trailers from that perspective, and that's kind of just how I know what's kind of out there, what's out in the horizon. But I don't really delve into the sites that much anymore. I mean, you and I used to be very big fans of kind of what Destructoid was and what G4 TV once was at the time, and that's kind of what was our bread and butter when it came to like gaming entertainment. Sometimes gaming personalities is all we really watched it for, or really tuned in for, or read when it came to kind of gaming articles, or just to kind of actually just discuss topics of something that had some noteworthy thing to read, something to keep your mind active, something to think about. I haven't really delved into that anymore. I haven't seen, or I haven't really bothered to follow it. I think the closest thing that I kind of keep up with here and there was Giant Bomb, but I wouldn't consider them news site. They're more of kind of just gaming entertainment. They kind of gaming entertainment. Guys that love games just like we do, and just kind of do it, kind of have a lot of fun with it, and just kind of do their own thing.
I agree. There's a difference in terms of, even back when the halcyon days of G4 in late 2000s, it didn't really take off until I'd probably say early 2010s, mid 2010s, where it's instant news, where anything that's even remotely interesting concerning news is immediately leaked or immediately talked about, and it's not always through the websites. And the websites are kind of these conglomeration of different people who have a relationship with the industry. So a lot of times they're going to either sit on a news story until they get to release it, or they're waiting for somebody else to release it so they can talk about it, or they'll do it in a favor of talk about a news item in favor of another company. Like, for instance, if they besmirch the fact that the next Call of Duty game, the pre-order content bonus is a damn hat, I like, they're probably not going to get the Treyarch Activision love. So that they horse armor deal. Like, remember when that was the weirdest thing? And we're like, man, this can't possibly get any weirder. Like, oh, ye of little faith. And it's just, they have to walk a very fine tightrope in terms of getting it done. So a lot of times what I do is just, I hang around message forums The big one is probably Reddit games, not gaming, just games, because the gaming one is it's just garbage. A lot of times it's just like the plain news stuff, like, oh, there's going to be, there's a title drop for this. Like, I think the first time I heard that Call of Duty was going back to World War II was through one of these articles that was posted, which was a smaller site. And so the IGN or Giant Bomb or Destructoid, man, I had so much faith in Destructoid, and they've let me down.
It's changed very drastically. A lot of I don't know. I guess it's the direction of the website, or just really the big hitters of the site have kind of gone on to do their own thing. It's kind of left. I think Jonathan Holmes I think he's still on there, but I think he doesn't. I think he's kind of doing other things in the back end, but he doesn't. I miss those Jonathan Holmes videos that he used to do.
That was the tail end of the personality-driven, content, where you have, they wanted to get people interested, so they had these notable characters on there for reviews or written articles. And I think what the other thing that has come up, which a lot of people don't really want to talk about, especially within the industry, are kind of the splinter casting. No, don't get a swelled head. I'm not talking about you, Splinter.
Oh.
I'm talking about for niche demographics, and like people, for instance, like Jim Sterling, or like a lot of these other journalists that have actually gone on to support themselves through Patreon, and they release really just it's enough to pay for their work and analysis, so it's not really big news, but it's their view and analysis and videos and what they find interesting. So, and with everybody trying to jump ship onto that new business model, you have the old guys who don't know how to adjust this new strategy, and which is why you see them trying to get more personality-driven people on there rather than kind of people who know what they're talking about, which is obvious in almost all the different TV stations and channels and media outlets, like ESPN, for instance, that fired 100 of their on-air personalities, and most of them were the journalists and not the entertainers. It's also another thing because I think we're very unwilling in this industry to talk about politics and social stuff. And I mean to have an open, genuine dialogue where people might say things that are uncomfortable, and we don't want to talk about that at all, so we're going to just avoid that entirely. And so when things like Gamergate happens, where you have people draw lines in the sand and you're not allowed to have a genuine conversation about that on these big websites, that just kind of comes across as intellectually dishonest and inhibitive in terms of these people who have an opinion on this but can't or won't share it.
It's become less. It's become less of a. It became less journalistic now, more entertainment. Now it's kind of sad because it's a lot of great things that really touch me as a gamer in itself. Just kind of like the passion that people had for the industry it's kind of slightly dwindled. It's not as strong as it used to be anymore. I mean, just from simpler things to there's things that can. They used to do entertainment things, of course. There's also some interesting, serious moments. There's some interesting dialogue of certain themes and topics of certain games, and then it's kind of gone on the wayside. It's very sad. It's Now that I think about it, I think Reddit is a pretty good place to keep up on it. I try to get on there more often because there's a lot of really interesting stuff from all over it that I like to see on there every now and then, depending on what I follow. But I mean, there's not much. It's not much that I really look at recently. I guess the stuff that I keep up on is probably through GameSpot's YouTube channel. I think that's where I keep up on a couple of things here and there. And I think GameSpot's doing it pretty decently. I think that's the only one that I can think of that's.
Game Trailers is gone.
It's doing it good. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Game Trailers.
I mean, the guy who did the voiceover for the reviews, he's got a job forever. Like, regardless of where he goes, like, there's going to be people like, we need that voice for our reviews. Like, I think it was like early when they started doing video reviews, and they kind of like started to switch out different voice actors for their reviews, or they would have the reviewers themselves do the narration, and then they were like, "Oh my God, nobody likes us. Get the other guy. We're gonna have him do everything."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's sad, man. I mean those are the things that were. Those are the good parts of the entertainment of gaming related things. That was the best part of that. A lot of there's all of the other entertainment stuff not really for everyone's kind of. It could be just I mean it just could be a sign of just a. I mean I had aspirations at one point years ago when I was younger and G4 was still on. I was really interested in becoming a game journalist, and now just kind of how it's been recently, and with the Gamergate incident, and just kind of how things was not acknowledged, things were swept under the rug. There's definitely was some sort of there's favoritisms happening there. There was people from certain websites or avenues that were protecting others that they may consider friends or they're friendly with and acquaintances in some respect, and they completely did not cover the full story of whatever was happening with that whole situation. And it just spawned from that, and it wasn't. I think it showed a lot more. Not even the fact that it was anything to do with feminism at all. I think it spiraled in. It was led to believe that's what it was all about, but it was certainly a whole lot more than just that. It's, that the gaming journalism culture is dead. Is not what it used to be anymore. It's not. It just journalism is dead for gaming. Really, it's not what's going on right now.
Yeah, and that's why I don't agree with him very often, but I do like when Jim Sterling does go and do research, or Super Bunny Hop when they do research on these kind of issues or news items that no one else is talking about. And what I did like about the old days of G4 is one of my favorite shows was G4TV.com, the show where they would just talk about video game news, and that would just be it. And of course, this was an exciting time because it was the burgeoning market. This was the days when it was starting to become a blockbuster industry of just huge profits and big turnout, and then people were starting to become interested outside of the industry, and also just like we are handling things with kid gloves when we should be really just digging into a lot of these issues. And for Gamergate, a lot of it it's like a Rorschach test of what you think is wrong with the industry. And it's like, oh, it's journalism integrity. It's like, oh no, it's a feminist agenda. Oh no, it's censorship. Oh no, it's development cycles that are too harsh, and just this thing after thing after thing. And we didn't really get to engage in that discussion. If anything, it was just like, quiet down, don't talk about it. And of course, when you tell somebody not to do it, you're going to make them want to do it more. And it's things like that which I think are inhibitive of the industry, especially when we need to embrace a lot more confrontational issues than just ignoring them. Like, for instance, I think that there needed to be a discussion a genuine discussion about Witcher 3, because some people thought that there was not enough representation in there in terms of the game, and some people said, like, well, it's based on Polish culture, and you're not going to find a whole lot of people who aren't white and Polish in that particular mythology that they have or culture. And then there's some people that say, well, it's a fantasy, so you can put whatever you want in there, and it just kind of stacks on top of each other. But that's not what we're having, and a lot of times it's just shouting at people what their opinions are rather than having a genuine dialogue. And there just needs to be, I don't know, some kind of mechanism or way of having that conversation that is very direct and respectful without resorting to, this is my camp, this is your camp is wrong, my camp is right.
Absolutely. There's not a whole lot of that Not at all, and not not in the discussions back and forth in gaming, not in anything really. There's always gonna be shouting matches between the two, and it's never gonna be. No one ever comes to agree to disagree, or never comes to kind of more of a better understanding of each other's perspectives. It never happens. It's just the way we are. It's just the way we are as humans. We always want to be right. The other person's always wrong. It's very interesting. Even with the whole Gamergate incident, it's that really showed a lot to me. Just kind of where the gaming journalism industry is, and it also goes back to just how PC everything is. It's people are afraid to talk and be afraid to lose whatever they're at right now, whether it be the whole situation with Colin Moriarty, or there's just whether it be something else. It's people are afraid to speak their minds, and they shouldn't lose their livelihood because of it. Even if to a certain degree, I guess if there's something that they want to, it's all just ad driven. It just affects everything.
Yeah, especially with YouTube right now.
Yeah.
They'll strike you off if they think that you're encouraging hate speech, or if you're not encouraging hate speech, and people just misconstrued the worst things about you by peripheral vision, I guess. Like, for instance, PewDiePie. I'm not a big fan of him, but I still defend, he didn't really deserve that. And a lot of the New York Times and all these old media just no, he's wrong, double down, triple down, quadruple down. And the only thing that they could really post against him was he made a sarcastic anti-Semitism remark and he wore a Nazi uniform for a skit. That's it. It's there are genuine problems. Stop manufacturing this as one of them. And personally, that's what I felt about it. But you might feel different, both audience and Splinter.
Absolutely. I don't know a whole lot of the whole PewDiePie situation personally. I didn't really keep up with it. I just wasn't interested in PewDiePie in general to really look into it. But I hear what you're saying, and regardless of how you feel about it, I'll always respect your opinion, CH. I just don't know enough about it to really comment on it. But it's YouTube is a whole nother rabbit hole. It's got many problems, and a lot of what anybody says it could be the most innocent thing in the world, and they're at the mercy of whoever is the dick that's going to report them. And there's no person looking at these reports and saying this guy's an idiot. There's something wrong with this video. It's all automated. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There's nothing that is going to help the creator and the viewers. There's going to be this automation, say either binary 0 or 1, yes or no. There's no in between. There's no human operator in between to kind of delegate and balance this out. There's none of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of my little diatribe on kind of what are we actually, how do we keep up with gaming news in general. But it's all kind of gone to the wayside. A lot of people that we were big fans of are kind of doing their own thing, and some of them are still kind of fighting the fight for good kind of gaming journalism, or just talking about interesting subjects within the industry that are completely flawed. Everyone's doing their own thing. I mean, Adam Seltzer's got his own thing going on. Morgan Webb's, I think he's working for Blizzard. They're all out of the journalism aspects, I guess, because they're kind of done with it, doing their own other thing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that a lot of these people are still getting work and still finding jobs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just because once again, my youth spent enjoying the glow of G4 TV, which was absolutely the lowest budgeted thing you could ever produce. Because some of those shows were just our budget affords us 2 pairs of jeans, a T-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, a camera, and we can film in the park. That's it.
Yeah, cardboard box.
Show. Go.
Doing something as simple as what you can see on YouTube, just the secret adventures of Bob and Steve. It was just something as simple as that. That was just a classic G4 skit.
It reminded me a lot of Newgrounds, where it was like it was cheap a lot of the times. It was experimentative. A lot of it, not a lot of it, but there was a good deal that was like offensive or questionably contented, like or just
Canadian
like
guy.
really weird or surreal. I'm sorry, what?
A Canadian guy.
Oh, the Canadian guy singing about hockey. I love him.
Yeah.
Or just, but the fact that they were able to think of like these skits like for reviews. Like it was Adam Sessler reviewing, I think it was a JRPG, and he was just so tired of one of the JRPG characters when she summoned like a magic fireball or something, just yelling "hot stuff coming your way," and so he just like, what would be the real world equivalent? And just the guy, the intern, I think, following him around, and just like whenever he would be near something that would be hot, like a bowl of soup or open fire, like he'd just be going "hot stuff coming your way." And like that was the biggest joke of the entire review, and it was just so wonderful and just so weird. And I love the one where I think it was like a road to E3 where they had the different representatives from like the big three of like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft show up, and I think he was just like Nintendo and Sony kind of had nondescript Japanese businessmen, like they weren't like Shigeru Miyamoto or Sakuya. Oh man, who was the CEO of Sony at the
Uh,
time?
I need to look it up.
Nope, no problem. But like, it wasn't him, and so it was just two of them, and then like having a showdown, like two samurai in the middle of like a parking lot, just like so, and they're speaking in Japanese, just like so we meet again, like this time I will end you, and then you just have Bill Gates show up like, well, hey bitches, what's up? And so they bring all their main franchise characters like Mario and like Donkey Kong, and like Sony had like I think it was Solid Snake, and I can't remember, like Killzone, and then for Microsoft, like it's just Master Chief, and then Master Chief just looks at Bill Gates like, "Yeah, dude, it's just me."
Yeah, I mean, just things like that was just very nostalgic and just awesome things that they did back in the day. That, I mean, the good part of the entertainment aspects of just the game industry in general, just having fun and just making the
Mhm.
making the best out of the budget they had, and also kind of delving into some really interesting topics along the way as well.
Absolutely, and I just wanted to just jump in and say
Sure.
there's a really interesting YouTube documentary about the rise and fall of G4. If you're interested in, I'll send you a link after the
Oh,
show.
absolutely, yeah. Very
And
cool.
there's also somebody took up a non-profit, fan continuation of Cinematech, where it's just with Cinematech, they would just like have these clips of like gameplay and cutscenes of different games. They have different themes like superhero or Halloween or working in fast food games or what have you, and they would do that. And so somebody is currently doing that right now, and so I'll definitely send you a link to that as well if you are interested.
Absolutely, definitely interested. Uh, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. It's just didn't expect it to lead into, but it was a great discussion. I loved talking about it. It's something that I thought
Mhm.
in my head, and I just hit me because I hadn't thought about it in a long time because that's kind of how much that's how much I just hadn't thought about it. There's not anything that I really look at anymore when it comes to gaming sites. When I looking for,
We're not really having
there's not much. I mean, I used to look forward to looking to see what a certain personality had to say, but there's not a whole lot of them anymore that are currently active and doing that still. Uh,
yeah.
I'm not a fan. I'll always be a fan of, Max Scoville's work at Destructive. I haven't really been keeping up with. It's kind of what he's doing at IGN really recently. Uh,
They definitely just snatched him right up when I
when
think
he's hot, yeah.
because he was like, oh my gosh, we need to get this guy on because he was one of the biggest draws for the website. And once again, this is kind of just like, and not to knock him as an entertainer, but he's an entertainer, not really a journalist. And yeah,
For sure, yeah.
I think the last thing I was reading about him on that he commented on was, I think, a roundtable discussion about like the next season of Simpsons, which was like season 18 at the time, I think,
Yeah.
where they were talking about new episodes of like the synopsis of like Mr. Burns finds out Mr. Smithers is gay, and he was just saying like, yeah, like they're scraping the bottom of the barrel right now.
Yeah. But that was a really nice discussion. I look forward to seeing the short documentary there of G4.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to talk about in gaming news related. I didn't really look. That's kind of why. This is why I started that whole conversation earlier. Oh shit! I don't even know what to look for anymore. I don't have a site anymore that I have a go-to site to look on anymore.
Well, a lot of it is kind of cross news stuff where it's the same thing.
Yeah,
so you're not really sure what people have heard of, whether it's news, and like the small snippets of stuff is like that people haven't heard about are kind of buried.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I wanted to delve into Prey came out, but it doesn't look anything as cool as what I remember from the first E3 presentation. It's just sad.
There's no magical Native Americans. I am angry.
It's sad. As I'm not really interested. It just doesn't appeal to me. It's based on some of the clips I saw on my work TV. But I wanted to get into real quick before we run out of time. I wanted to get into what I've been playing because I am so happy. I'm so ecstatic to talk about this. The last time I talked to you, I had started playing Nier Automata, but I hadn't finished.
You texted, you're like, I am over the moon right now.
Oh, I was so elated, man. I cannot tell you my experience with Nier Automata is by far one of the best gaming experiences I've had in recent years. The game is there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot that I don't want to spoil, but there's so much to this game. There's so much. I don't know if this is considered a spoiler, but it's not story related. But it just has to do with you really figuring out the full scope of things. It takes a different direction with how it tells its story. It combines replayability along with a whole new experience. Like you need to replay. Essentially, you need 3 playthroughs in order to really get the full scope of things. The second playthrough is essentially this almost playing the game over again, but it's from a different perspective. That's all I can say. That's all I can say for that aspect. Was that?
I like.
I didn't hear you. I didn't catch what you said.
I was just saying, dang it, because I don't have a PlayStation 4, and between Nier Automata, Neo, I think it was called.
Oh, Neo, from Ninja.
Neo,
Theory?
Yakuza, Horizon, and just like it's stacking up. I'm probably gonna buckle down soon and
it's certainly
get a PlayStation.
it's certainly affordable now than it used to be, and you can get this. You can get a PlayStation 4 Pro for a decent price, very decent price.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend it, CH. There's some really great games on the PS4. It's freaking amazing, man. Like, I could talk about Yakuza 0 all day. It's such an amazing game. With the game that is not as fully realized, or maybe like not as has a big budget like GTA or other open world games, for what it makes up for is its charm and it's just overall writing and its characters. It's just freaking amazing.
Dude, I love charm. Like D4 and Deadly Premonition.
I mean, that's what it reminds me of. That's what Yakuza reminds me of. It's like a slightly higher budgeted version of Deadly Premonition, but its presentation it is a lot better than Deadly Premonition, but it's not.
Well, once again, Deadly Premonition was made with the budget of D4, so you know.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that with its like semi decent budget, it turned out to be one hell of a game. It's one hell of a game. I'm sure the series is just the same as well. I'm waiting for the remake of the first game to come out so I can play it.
Dang it!
There's
Dang you!
so Nier Automata is essentially a sequel to the previous Nier games, or Dragon Guard series. I hadn't fully invested time into those games. I played like a few hours of Nier, and I hate myself now for not finishing it because I'm so invested into this world, and there's probably a lot more lore and a lot more unique type of like ways of telling stories that are associated with Nier. I remember Nier was a very cool game when I played it, and it did a lot of interesting things. The same thing that Nier Automata does is kind of what Nier was doing years ago. It does very different. It tells a very complex story, but yet a very well written story, and it does different things that is a different way to tell a story in a kind of different linear fashion. And I love the way how it changes perspective. Like occasionally you'll be playing third person, and then all of a sudden, as you progress through a mission, the camera just changes a whole new perspective. It could go from like top down. It can go from like a side scroller. It can turn into like a fight, like a plane shooting game for a second, like a top down plane shooting game. It just goes in a different. You never get tired. Like it's always changing up its pace. It does always something different.
I do love experimentative games.
It's very experimentative. It's very different than your typical open world third person RPG. It's very different in that sense, and I love it. The art style is very melancholy yet very optimistic. In the music, it's fantastic. Such beautiful music that plays throughout the game. The thing is that this is coming from the director of the previous Nier or Dragon Guard games, Yoko Taro. He's worked on those games before, and he's kind of came on to this game as more of a, I guess, game director and also, I guess, writer as well. And this is what like puts this game on top. I'm going to tell you, like, this is by far Platinum's best game. And as much as I love Bayonetta, this is like,
I know you love Bayonetta.
As much as I love Bayonetta, this is coming a lot from me. This is Platinum Games' this is their best game. I think this is their magnum opus. This is a masterpiece. What they did here, in combination with Yoko Taro, who's the writer, who's game director who's worked on Nier. A combination with his style of gameplay and what kind of things he mixes up with, and his storytelling. This is kind of what Platinum's is always kind of lacked a little bit in their games. It's not something that I always look for, but it's a nice addition. Their stories are always a little abstract, kind of out there with Bayonetta, or whether it be that, or it would be Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Their stories are kind of been like, they kind of been not the most memorable, but they're a little abstract, a little out there, and it's cool. You know, you have some cool moments. But they do. But they take it to another level. Yeah, Vanquish. I mean, that game was memorable for a lot of its like gameplay reasons, and that's what they do best. Platinum does gameplay and combat well. And with Nier Automata, this is a combination of two. Like, great story, complex story, does a lot of variety of things, and they take that, they have that, and they have Platinum Games' super tight, rarely ever glitches or issues combat. You mix that together, it makes it a really perfect game. Really perfect game. It's really amazing. It's probably the best game I played this year for sure. It's fantastic. It's left an impression on me that I just cannot wait to play more of it. And there's the DLC that came out this week. It just adds additional combat things to it and costumes. You can actually fight the CEO of Square Enix and the CEO of Platinum Games. It's just that ridiculous.
Oh my gosh! Sorry.
It's cool. I mean, that's
talk on that. I cannot believe. I mean, they're always creative. They're bursting with energy. Every single one of their projects, even the ones that don't completely take off, they always manage to give up their A game for an absolutely memorable experience. Like, you can't play a Platinum game, even if it's not even mediocre or bad, it's never unforgettable. It's never forgettable. It definitely leaves a lasting impression. And I'm very jealous and I hate you because now I really want to play the game.
It's great, man. I cannot say good things about it. I think it really leaves a bit impression on you. It makes me want to play the other previous games of Nier games. It's you don't need to really know. You don't really need to know a lot of those previous games to enjoy this. It's very kind of self-contained, but also you'll get a whole more richer experience. Of course, I'm sure if you know a little bit of kind of the background leading up to like the events of this game. But and essentially, it has a variety of themes. It's about love. It's about death. It's about a whole lot of other things. I just love that those topics of that they tackle and themes they tackle. It's very similar. There's that, and then there's also sci-fi elements of kind of what we've always kind of seen covered, but it's also takes it in a whole other direction when it comes to like what it means to be human and just kind of essentially they're just androids and just fighting against robots that essentially robots have driven humans off Earth and kind of almost made them extinct. So the humans had to retreat to the moon, and they launched their own kind of program to launch out androids to take out robots on Earth. And Earth's very desolate, very it can be a desert wasteland. It can be very Last of Us looking environments, and there's a lot of very varied environments in the game. The map is pretty decently big and open for an open world, but they also do things as well where you end up revisiting the same areas, but they end up changing it a little bit, and just kind of adds that much more replayability. And even with the sense of being able to have to replay the game a few times in order to kind of get the full scope of the story, they do a lot of things well to kind of combine replayability along with kind of an everlasting impression on the different techniques they use to tell the story. It's very, very depth and very thematic. A lot of variety of things in place that just make it very, very well worth playing. And it's, as I mentioned, it's Platinum's probably the best game they've done. I didn't think I'd get into the combat as much as I did. It's not as like complex as maybe Bayonetta's, but it can be complex if you want it to be. But it also does give you really enough challenge. It does give you a lot of challenge. And it has RPG elements, but it doesn't go full. You take the RPG elements as much as you want it to take. You can swap out different chip programs within your character to do certain things, and there's only a certain limit you can add. Swap and replace chips for your android to do certain things, whether it be auto heal after 3 seconds or whether it be give you additional attack. There's chips you can take out if you feel like they're unnecessary to make more space for other good stuff, like just taking out the HUD, not being able to see anything, or take off the minimap, take off.
Oh, I love that.
Take off
any customization.
Just a variety of customizations you can do really when it comes to that. The only thing you can't take off is the OS, because you take the OS out, you're gonna kill yourself. But besides that, there's other stuff you could take out. That's if you want to save space and get more stuff, like put the points in for higher attacks. You take out the amount of damage you can see. You take out how much damage you can see. That's gone. You take out being able to see what your enemy's health is. All that stuff. The HUD, the map, the points of the map where you can save. You could take that out and just have to figure it out yourself. A lot of things you can just customize with, and sometimes they have presets, whether it be attack based or defense based. So there's a whole lot of customization, lots of weapons to be able to gather from, and you can do a little variety of different combos you can do with the weapons you're holding. It's very, very diverse combat, very different than Bayonetta, but it's well worth playing. It's such a beautiful game overall, with a lot of scenery and just music beats that it has. It's just a whole lot of right things going on in this game that I cannot explain. There's so much going on, so much that I just want to talk about.
May I ask you, do they have is it more like you can switch out main and sub weapons, kind of like Bayonetta, or is it a little bit more like DMC Devil May Cry, where you have a main weapon and then you can swap between different weapons on the fly, or how is the weapon systems kind of implemented?
Well, there's a variety of weapons you can have on your disposal, and you can have two weapons equipped at a time. Um, you're only able to really switch between different. You can have two different sets, so you can customize a set to have. Let's say, for example, one set will have two heavy swords. So you'll have two heavy swords, and while you're in combat, you can quickly switch by hitting the D-pad. You can quickly switch to your other set that you have, and it can just be like light weapons, like two light weapons or one light, one heavy. However you want to customize it, you can switch. You can quickly switch to your other set on the fly, real quick. And also your companion pod. That's like a floating robot pod that you have along with you. Can also have different sets to switch in between, so they're very helpful too. You're going to be using them a lot. You're essentially your kind of support, and you'll end up using their bullets, or you can use their missiles. You can switch between the two on the fly. A lot of the enemies will shoot this kind of orby type of bullets at you. They're very slow, but they disperse them in a very diverse pattern. Sometimes you'll be like going in the middle, and sometimes you'll be kind of trying to swerving around them, but they do damage if you get hit. So the only way to counteract that is either to have your pod shoot those floating bullets, little bullets that the enemies shoot at you, or just kind of slashing them with your sword, but not getting hit by them. So there's some variety there to kind of get around it. But yeah, essentially that's kind of how the weapon system works.
Nice. That sounds like a good bit of weapon variety, which is something that I do lament in a hack and slash game that I do love, like Enslaved, Odyssey to the West. So very, very nice to hear, and has a good story, which makes me very happy to hear.
For sure. I mean, it's good as much as investment you want to delve into. There's a lot of, it doesn't fully outright tell you a whole lot of kind of what's going on. In the beginning, when I first played it, I was like, what the hell is this? Is this I don't know what's going on here. I don't know the context of it, but as you play more of it, it starts to make more sense. It's interesting how the first playthrough is kind of more of it feels more like an experience of just kind of getting used to the controls, and that's a good amount of hours, like just kind of really not worrying too much about the story. It unfolds as you progress a little bit, but it never fully goes in depth until you actually play more of it. It's like 15 hours in, you get the end credits, your first ending, and it's like, is this it? It just kind of I feel a little underwhelmed, and then the game quickly comes right back around. It's like, nope, there's more. There's more.
Ah, I'm so angry because I love this kind of storytelling of just not only just one playthrough, but like playing different playthroughs. You get a different sense of scale and story, which is why I love things like Spec Ops: The Line or Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, for instance, and just how much change and variability there is in the entire story. And it sounds like you get to have the non-linear progression where you can go through one storyline, then another, and then another different area, and also switching between genres. So that already has piqued my interest, and now I need to look for a good sale for a PS4.
It's phenomenal. I cannot express how good the game is. Oh God, it's left such an impression on me. I'm such a fan of this game, and I'm so happy it turned out really well because I was really looking forward to it. Because Platinum Games they're up there. I mean, they're one of my favorite developers. They never let me down. I mean, honestly, they always leave an impression on you. They always keep taking what they did before and just ramping it up. They keep building up upon it and just doing a lot more. Way more.
So good. Good. I'm looking forward to it. I genuinely don't know if I should just listen to a YouTube walkthrough of just like all the different story elements, and not really worrying about playthrough, just to get that before Nier Automata. So that'll be something I'll need to wrestle with.
Yeah, I mean that's something that's gonna be ultimately up to you. I personally would just kind of go in not knowing anything and kind of just go from there. I know the way that I talked about it, I guess could be considered spoilers, but it's essentially there's there's more stuff going on than I've talked about. So I still think it's still very cool just kind of hearing it from a different perspective, and it's still there's still a lot more stuff that I haven't really discussed that you'll end up finding out for yourself. But so I mean that's just like the main basis. This is not something that's really hidden because this has been known from this director of the Nier games. He does stuff like this, and I kicking myself in the foot that I didn't get to finish Nier because there's probably a whole lot more of the cool stuff that I probably would have experienced, like narrative wise and just gameplay wise, that I just didn't. I didn't just get back into it. I enjoyed my time playing it. I just lost track of it and didn't play it anymore. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot more to it, and it's been talked about how there's multiple endings. So that's not come to as any shock for me saying kind of how that transpires. But there's a whole lot more that you still have to see. There's a total of 26 endings to this game, technically.
Oh, for God's sakes!
So a lot of them are like joke endings. A lot of them can be achieved really easily. Like, for example, one of the endings would be taking out one of your OS chips, and pretty much making Sabukuing your character, essentially. Oh, wow. And that's just kind of, once that happens, and just the game quickly fast forward to the credits, and it just takes you back to the main menu. It's like, you've unlocked this ending, and then you go back to where you were.
Well,
that's just an example. I mean, you could do there's other stuff to achieve those endings. But essentially, there's 26 endings, and each ending has the association of each alphabet. So it's essentially the alphabet ending. So there's different endings that are tied to each letter of the alphabet. Thus making it 26 endings.
Wow.
Such amazing. Just a variety of things. I love it. I love it, man.
That sounds, and you know what? I love that. Much like Witcher 3, you get the incredible bang for your buck and just so much variety and choice, and not just the core conceits of the gameplay being well polished and implemented, but also just how much fun they're able to have, where you can basically kill your character off in the middle of the story.
And I don't know a whole lot of info on how it did, but I really hope that it does well, and that a lot more people get to play it. I mean, I know there's currently a sale going on, and that has a Nier Automata already in there. There's a sale for like $20 off, so if you get it for $45, it's well worth. It's a steal. I hope a lot more people play it because it's such an experience. It's such a different way to tell a story. It's very, very different than your typical games that you have coming out right now this year. It's well worth the experience. As much as kind of how things have been recently over the last few years, but recently now I think it's been a lot better. I think they're doing a lot of good things. Square Enix has been doing a lot of good things recently. I mean, with their acquisitions of, having the Hitman titles, and there's the Lara Croft game, and they did really well with Final Fantasy 15, and we have this now. They've been really on the roll. They've been doing really good they're not nowhere as near as anything else like Ubisoft or EA. I mean, they're doing well for themselves. I think they're picking themselves up from kind of how they were kind of under a slump a little bit a few years ago.
Yeah, and they it seemed to be at least keeping their house in order.
For sure.
I'm a little bit sad that they're putting Eidos Montreal on hold for the next Deus Ex game for Marvel Games, but whatever. I have faith in that, and I hope that they'll come back to Deus Ex one day. But sounds like Square Enix is doing very well, and I wish them the best.
Absolutely, but that's kind of what I want to talk about. That's Nier Automata. Definitely play it. If you
I
haven't
didn't.
already, it's such a fantastic game.
I didn't get to play Nier Automata, and I'm very angry at you for just telling me the fact that I didn't. But I did also. I got to play and finish up Murdered Soul Suspect, which is
Oh man, I played that game. Wait, oh, when it came out, that game was awesome, man.
yeah, man. It has been
Very
a
underrated.
long time since it came out. Very underrated. And did you complete the story of the game?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I remember because I think we may have talked about it at one point. I did talk about it, I think, at one point of me playing, and I talked about how much the premise of it and just the even the E3 presentation is kind of what sold me on wanting to play it. Uh,
Mm.
and I was kind of into those kind of very under the radar, low budget kind of games like that. There's a lot like Sherlock Holmes games that have come out recently. That's kind of very
Crimes
much
and
like
Punishment.
it's kind of like a yeah crimes related, and it's kind of also kind of point and click a little bit. But they do a lot of interesting things. I did finish it a while ago when it came out, and I know that it's on the PS4 now and on the newer consoles.
Mm.
I played it originally on I think the 360 at the time.
Oh man, I didn't know it
It,
came out on
I
360.
think it was on 360, and then it happened to just bleed over onto the PS4 as well. But I
Gotcha.
remember it. I remember it had some issues occasionally when walking in the streets, and occasionally I'd see just random AI just walking through walls, and it was just I couldn't tell if that was a glitch or that's just part of the ghost world, but I couldn't tell.
I like to
Uh,
think that it was like, man, this is way too hard to program. I don't know. Let's make it a ghost game so that they can walk through walls. Yeah, okay, the hell with it.
yeah, yeah. But what I remember of it, I personally loved it and enjoyed it, and I thought it was very underrated. Not a lot of people got to play it.
Mm.
I don't think
And
so, but
I,
that's just my guess.
yeah, it's that company also did um, Dark Void, I think it was called, where it was like
Oh yeah,
like a third person jetpack game
I
where it
remember
was
that
like
one.
you.
I didn't play it, but I heard it was no good.
Yeah, I like the best reviews were like, yeah, it's kind of middling execution, and this was kind of an interesting middle ground in terms of releases, where Suspect was not kind of one of those AAA releases. It was an indie game, but it was the media market, which I think we do have a problem with in terms of advertising for and bringing awareness to like the media market, which is why a lot of them are dying off, which is too bad because like the media market takes the ideas of the indie scene and applies it to a bigger budget for then the AAA big guys to implement on a huge epic, well, shine to a mere sheen level. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's a shame because I mean I am slightly familiar with the stuff they did before, and unfortunately it wasn't well received. But I think they had potential. I think they picked themselves up a little bit with Murder's Whole Suspect. I think it had a lot of
mm,
interesting ideas in it, and because it wasn't a big AAA title and didn't get enough attention, that not a lot of people played it, and it's not a lot of people bought it, unfortunately, and that's I remember it now because that's what led a month after it came out. The studio that made it closed. It
yeah,
closed down. It's
it's
it's crazy.
it's an absolute shame, and especially since I think that so much potential can be seen in terms of how to make interesting games without a huge budget. And for this one, I love that. So, for those of you who are unaware, this takes place during in the sleepy town of Salem in modern times, and you are Roman, who is a Roman, my cousin.
Let's
Uh,
go bowling.
let's go ghost bowling, where he's killed on the job, and he comes back as a haunting specter, and he needs to solve his own murder in order to get to heaven. But the problem is that he can't really get anyone to listen to him except for this one girl, and she ties into the murder that's been going around with a serial murderer. And so with that, you get into a little bit delving into the town's history, and the conspiracy, and I absolutely love good crime noir stories, and this just like I love this dynamic between this girl who's giving him sass, and he's just like, listen, I don't give a damn about you, just solve my murder so I can leave. And there's an interesting backstory behind the death of his wife, Roman's wife in the past, which is at the very start of the game, so it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that it's kind of a third-person perspective of a point and click, kind of like LA Noire meets Mass Effect in terms of just kind of wandering around a location.
Yeah.
And you pick up clues, or you jump into the bodies of different people. Sometimes you can make them think about certain things or influence their actions of just like, I need to get them to say or do something by thinking a certain thing, so I'll make them think about particular memories, which I love seeing. It kind of reminded me of Remember Me. And you can also do even just like incidental stuff, like stupid high school horny kids hanging out in the middle of a graveyard, drinking beer, and you get to hear them talk to each other, and then you jump in their bodies, then you hear what they're thinking, and just little stuff like that is great, and just builds so much character. And you also have these different little side vignettes that you can solve, and like other ghosts that need to have their murder solved, like this guy who died in a car accident, and you're trying to figure out whether or not he killed his wife and daughter in the car accident as well as himself, or if it was someone else's fault. And just a whole lot of very good writing, very strong performances. I think the direction's spot on. And they have the only real like active action gameplay that you have is fighting specters, and these are demonic ones. Like, these are some scary looking ghosts of they're just like these giant gaping maws placed on top of like a red bed sheet from hell, and you have to hide behind them, and you got to sneak up on them in order to disperse them. And if they see you for too long, they'll zap you from existence. And so I loved that. Like, they didn't force the gameplay. It's like they could have just had like mini game or quick time events, and they don't really happen that way. There's like kind of a quick time event for taking down the specters, but not a big thing. It's just like point your action stick in the right direction, press a button, the end. And it's so much more focused on the story, and I love that. And I love that they don't stay a minute longer than they need to. It's like, this is the story, this is what we're telling. Once you're done, you're done.
Yeah, that and the other types of games in that avenue where it's not like striving to do super big ambitious things, but I feel like the simplicity of it and just a real good, that's what drives me to it, is the really good concept. They had a really good concept to it. The story itself had really good setup. That's the thing. Like, I wish that it had gotten more attention, and I feel like a lot of people, especially as we talked about, gaming journalists, as I put my quotes up, should have. I think these games should be very much what's the word? Maybe not celebrated, but maybe more encouraged to check out. I think encouragement is very much the thing, and not pushing towards the game maybe because of ad related things. I think it's just because it's a game that did different, something different, and it's not the super high budgeted game. It's not a AAA game. It's like it's in the medium. I think that's the type of thing that we should always encourage people to check out, even if it is not a perfect game. It may not do everything right, or may not do everything that's like the standard. But it shouldn't be like the standard. It should just be something different, something you should enjoy, and just kind of, try it out. I mean, you don't have to buy it, but at least, get a red box of it or something. At least try it out. I mean, not
once again,
to the wayside.
There's not a Netflix for video games, which I definitely think is like the next big thing.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and like I don't think we'll probably have the download TV shows and movies from Netflix onto your iPad or
Yeah,
uh,
the closest thing we have to that is like, well, for PS4 side, it's like PlayStation Now, but there needs to be more kind of catalog of games in order to kind of really get invested into it. I mean,
yeah.
$20 is quite a high amount, and if you're not getting anything that you're really interested in, I don't think it's fully worth it. But the idea itself, and I've tried it out myself, it works perfectly. It's great. They just need a better catalog of games, and it's definitely worth the price. If they cut it down a little bit, but it's definitely worth it. That's as closest to the Netflix of games we're gonna get right now
Hmm.
with what they got going.
I mean, they finally, Microsoft is finally offering a refund program for their games in reference, in response to Steam, and I do think that competition is going to breed out the best in these companies where they're going to say like, okay, we need to keep up business practices, or else we're going to be losing people to these other guys. We need to have more sales. We need to have better services, which I do like from Steam and good old games. That's kind of rubbing off on the console generation and Sony and Microsoft. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that's happening. I seriously think that the next big thing is going to be the subscription service to games that you haven't thought of before, or like imagine just like $20. Well, like maybe not $20, but like $10 a month for the entire Super Nintendo library, or all the Xbox original classic games, or what have you. Like, of course, there's going to be licensing issues here and there, but just imagine just how having that many different games at your fingertips. The problem is, of course, then you have these other games. Like this, it's the weirdest problem with video games because the media is inhibited by which brand of console you own. So you'll have like, which wasn't as big of a problem with like it used to be with movies like or TV shows with Blu-ray versus HD TV or Betamax versus VHS and or Laserdisc versus DVD. But it's not so much these days, but it's so much more these days with video games because they're still exclusives that you can't get for every console.
Hmm.
So they would have to work through that.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take time, but I think that's the next best thing, and I hope that it's the next best thing because that would be really awesome. Because I mean, that's kind of what we're kind of have building up right now with the PlayStation Now service. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and the collection of it certainly has improved since I last had looked on it. I mean, I could play Mafia 2, for example, and Mafia 2 is amazing. Injustice, there's Dark Sector. I don't know anybody was playing Dark Sector, but Last of
Oh,
Us.
Dark Sector, yeah. Oh, I've got that for a gift, and I'm still trying to get back to some on my family storage because I got my 360. But I definitely want to play that because I did enjoy the hell out of Warframe, which was the company's next game, and definitely
Yeah,
like to
I
take that
mean,
again.
yeah. There's that. You can play Mortal Kombat before the Mortal Kombat
Hmm.
10,
The OG Mortal
Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat 9.
Hmm.
You can play the Star Wars. We were talking about Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2 on here. Red Dead Redemption, The Force Unleashed, Ultimate Sith Edition. You can
Hmm.
play God of War. There's Farming Simulator. It's something. You got the original season 1 of Walking Dead.
Damn right.
Payday 2. You could play Catherine, Sly Cooper, Arkham City, Twisted Metal, Sonic Adventure. You got Red Dead, Undead Nightmare, Beyond Two Souls, Saints Row 4. It just keeps going. Like there's certainly a nice collection. I mean, Heavy Rain is Nino Kuni on here that wanted to play. So I know there's a sequel coming out. There's
Hmm.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, love Shadow of the
Yeah,
Colossus.
there's Asura's Wrath, Fear. There's all sorts of things you could play on right now. I mean, this is like this is kind of this is where we're headed right now. I think this is a really good thing to have. Ico
Mm.
on here. There's Heavenly Sword. Just good stuff. Good stuff on here. Dark Souls 2. Very, very, very good varied stuff. Yeah, just his brothers. I think you've
Tale of Two Sons.
recommended that. I think you may have gifted me that one
Mm-hmm.
for on Steam.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's just
just download them and take them off of your hard drive if you don't want to keep them downloaded.
it's just a variety of things, man. It's a variety of stuff, good stuff on here. I mean, there's definitely more that could be added on here. It's Darkness 2, Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh, Darkness 2. Love it. I
Kingdom
want
of
Darkness
Hearts.
3. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
uh, they are, just to, while I'm thinking about it, they're making Darksiders 3.
Oh my.
I
Oh
am,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that little glimpse of it.
I am so happy because I came to that series late, but like Darksiders 2, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is everything I wanted for like a 90s comic book inspired a post-apocalyptic world starring like death as like the brooding emo, wars like the ravaging lunatic, and the next game you get to play is Fury, which is the lady of the horsemen of the apocalypse, and we haven't seen too much of her, but I hope she is an excellent character as they're not deep games, but I just love how they have so much character come across in the dialogue.
That's awesome. I didn't get into Darksiders, but I did play a couple hours of Darksiders 1. And
Mm.
when I played it, it was fun, but it definitely showed its age at the time that I played it because
Yeah,
definitely an older game.
one of those mid-tier games. Once again, kind of that middle market.
Yeah, and I could definitely appreciate it. I didn't fully invest my time with it, but it was there. You can play Darksiders, Darksiders 2 on here for sure.
Mm.
Earth Defense Force, yes.
Yeah,
Fight those giant bugs. And they got enslaved.
is some kind of bug hunt, sir.
I mean, there's a lot. This is quite a better variety than there was last time.
Mm.
So there's that. I mean, I hope that the future grows brighter and there's like less hassles to deal with when it comes to licensing as the years go on.
I think it's.
I think it's gotten a little better. I would assume based on what I'm seeing right here, right now, on the PlayStation.
I think they got better at. I think the companies that have acquired these games and are distributing them have gotten better at licensing them, but it's not, I think, an easier process. And I think it's also because nobody really anticipated the home market to be as universally continued over the years, and a lot of like licensing issues for music because that's a big kerfuffle because you have music or games, for instance, like Halo Combat Evolved, the original one. A lot of times you can't buy the original disc because it has game demos of Fusion Frenzy on there, and because of the licensing issues, Microsoft really can't offer that same exact package because then they'd have to find the licensing rights for Fusion Frenzy, and it's little stuff like that keeps popping up, or they have licensed music that they don't have the rights to anymore because their licensing expired. So maybe there just needs to be a more streamlined licensing way to get all these games and include all the packaging in the final product, but that would probably require a massive overhaul of the industry, which will probably take some time.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's holding it back. But that is our wish list before we die, at least, to be able to stream as much games as we can. That way, we kind of avoid the reliance of kind of having to search them out first off, and also maintaining the quality and how it's kept. The older consoles, which I'm surprised because my SNES, I mean, I kind of, it's very dusty and I don't really take care of it, but it still works. But
yeah, I mean, the problem is that, and this also gets into piracy, whereas these games are not being manufactured anymore, and so you can't legally buy these games anymore. So you have like ROMs of like Super Nintendo games, like one of my favorite games of the original SNES was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game, where it was like a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and you can't get that legal in it anymore, and the licensing issues are a nightmare because then you have to go through Saban and that particular era of games, and it's impossible to do, and which makes it their back catalog limited, surprisingly limited, because of how the corporations now work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of factors into that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just even me thinking about it right now, it's like, well, you gotta think about how it's gonna be like reruns of movies or shows. How's the kind of expenses going to work on that? Like, who's going to get what's the word?
Royalties?
Royalties. Who's going to get royalties? Is the publisher that made it at the time going to get royalties? Is whoever? What if the publisher or company is out of business now? Like,
yeah,
like the Murder Soul Suspect, but that studio's out of business. So who's going to disperse that money out? Is people involved going to get royalties?
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of logistics.
Not to mention, the used gaming market is a big hot button topic right now. Can you imagine what a rental streaming service is going to kick up in terms of dust storms? Because no one can agree about used gaming now. So it's going to be even a bigger problem when we have a system where we can rent games. So it's probably going to be something like smaller stuff, like it was for Netflix, where it's just, okay, we'll pick up this, a couple of shows and movies where you can stream it, where there's smaller stuff, so we can just afford the licensing outright and have it for as long as possible. And then as they gain momentum and more fees for their services, then they'll be able to buy bigger games and yada yada yada, and then they'll be able to make hopefully one day a big Netflix-like system.
Yeah, we can only hope. But that's that. I'm glad that you really enjoyed Murdered Soul Suspect. Yeah. It's very underrated, very underrated game that's under the radar. Much like a lot of titles that we enjoy. I had a quick side note because I saw this. It'll be making a Deadly Premonition board game apparently.
That is fine with me.
Which I'm happy with. As long as if there's any newer content, Deadly Premonition related, I'll take it. I'll take it sweary.
I think I did see that, and that had over 7. That was either a tweet or an Instagram post by Swery, and it had over 700 likes on it. And it's just yeah, people want to see this.
Yeah, I don't. There's not much info right now, but other than the teaser, so I'm very curious to see as it progresses what it's going to be about. I think on their website there's some sort of timer on here. I think that's going to relate it to maybe the release or more information. I think there's a timer that's counting down on there right now. I need to take a look at it.
Please tell me it's for the sequel to D4. Please.
I wish that was the case. A Game of Innocence, Incrimination and Murder, and then all I see here is the number 2041, and I see another number that's counting down. Now it's back to 204057. I don't know what this could mean. Does it mean 20 days? Does it mean 2 days? I
don't know. But I hope it sells well and it's awesome because I love that creator and I love his content.
Absolutely. Other than that, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss before we head on out?
I'm good actually. That's me for the day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I wanted to do this quick. If you had time, I did send out a tweet. I did send out a tweet for questions, and lo and behold, the one person that always comes through.
Yay!
Tag Gibby.
Dag! Yay!
And he had a question here in regards to what Marvel characters would you like to see get their own spin-off show on Netflix?
Ooh, okay.
Now we could probably easily get into a whole other discussion on some of the recent Netflix shows, but I'll save us the time for that on another one.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen Iron Fist. I did not finish Luke Cage, but that's all I'll say for right now.
Yeah.
Those were I didn't hear good things from Iron Fist and Luke Cage. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. I couldn't. That's all. That's all I'll say. We can get into that discussion. I'll make a note of this to remember to talk about this next time. But that's one of the things that we haven't discussed over the period of time that we had that gap of recording. But I'll write it down. Luke Cage. But yeah, what Marvel character would you personally like to see get their own spin-off show on Netflix? CH.
I like the Netflix. I like most of the Marvel shows. I think Daredevil is one of the best shows on right now.
Oh yeah,
no joke. Like up there with the Americans and Mr. Robot. Jessica Jones, everyone knows my opinions on that. Luke Cage, I thought was a overall good show that just needed kind of like a few adjustments here and there to make it like excellent. Iron Fist, that was one of the ones where I wasn't mad about. Like I think people are really overreacting about Iron Fist. I would say that it is perfectly mediocre. Except for like a few really interesting and good things here and there, it's just really mediocre. Mm-hmm. It's competent enough not to be bad, but it's not good enough to be interesting. So it's just that weird middle level. Like, I guess I'm watching this. Like it's.
I guess I watched.
It's like you're not offended or glad after it's over. You just like, that was a show I watched, and I would like them to do something a little bit different where these are like each season of these superhero shows are like 13 episode series, like a 13 or 12 episode series, and I would rather have them scale it back to like 6 or 8 and have that money for much bigger production values for some of the more maybe questionable characters. And the one I really want them to do is Moon Knight. And specifically the comic book run of From the Dead, where it's like for those who don't know, Moon Knight he's basically Batman, except he's broke, he's crazy, a god is talking to him all the time and telling him to defend the people who walk in the night. And he's kind of morally reprehensible because that's all he's about, but it's a very interesting way of looking at these kind of questionable characters. Now, of course, I would say please have this anywhere except New York. We've already seen New York. I don't care if they change it to like Philadelphia or DC or Detroit. That's basically RoboCop territory right now, so I might need to get him out there. But yeah, that's what I'd love to see. But what about you?
It's a tough one. Like there's a variety and very few Marvel characters that I enjoy that I like to see be made into a Netflix show. I would have said Daredevil. I mean, not Daredevil. I would have said Punisher at one point, but I know that they've already kind of already working on that, or I think it's kind of already wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
I would have said Punisher at one point. Now I'm trying to think of another Marvel character that would be an interesting fit for it. I know as much as I like Blade, that would be cool to see Blade again, but they've kind of already they've done their kind of they did one on Spike,
mm-hmm.
which was, I don't remember if I liked it or not. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But it was Spike, so it's there may be been some questionable moments.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they could get Guillermo del Toro to executively produce, since he seems to do very well when he does that. So maybe horror. I don't know if you'd be able to do Ghost Rider with a cheap budget, like they had him with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm just watching the clips of him, and the effects look good. The effects look really really good for TV. But just like I don't know if you can do an entire season of that. Like I would think maybe you want to do like a 6 episode season and keep it brief and expensive rather than trying to stretch it out longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say Ghost Rider as an option. That's kind of my full expansiveness of Marvel characters doesn't go that high up.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read enough Marvel.
And Ghost
stuff.
Rider's not that interesting of an actual personality.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
It's more of like one of those characters you kind of read on kind of one off of and kind of that was cool. Just move on. But not really enough to sustain the whole season. As if other characters that maybe have more of a dynamic in the comics weren't able to really do it as well, like Jessica Jones or maybe Luke Cage. I doubt, unless they get really lucky or get the right people behind it, that they can really sustain a whole kind of 13 episode run with Ghost Rider. That would be probably the pick that I would go with for now until I actually fully immerse myself more into into more of the Marvel stuff. I don't really follow it as much. It's crazy because there's certainly some things to like about it, but recently I feel like they haven't really been doing anything interesting. It's always been thought that DC's always been doing a lot of interesting things. At least they're trying, even though they've rebooted their stuff a lot of times. But I don't think their continuity is as confusing as Marvel's continuity.
Okay, I think they have each company has the exact wrong problem, where it's like Marvel needs to reboot once because this stuff has gotten way too confusing, and they're still like, no, we're going to keep going. Because I think they tried to do that once, like late 90s, early 2000s, when they tried to reboot it and didn't really sell. And so they're like, whatever. I guess that means we can never do it again, which is such the Marvel way, where it's like, we failed at this once, let's never revisit it. And then they burn that bridge. For DC, it's like, oh, this reboot's worked, let's keep doing it. And like I heard the confusion with rebooting of New 52, where like some storylines and continuities were still kept, some weren't, and some storylines and continuities were kept in stories that were rebooted so it wouldn't make sense. And just like, these guys, you need to plan this stuff more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's way, way, way confusing right now than DC stuff. I think I saw a video of it. I follow Comic Book 19 on YouTube, and she kind of delved into a lot of the problems that's going on with the comic industry right now. Right, she doesn't really hasn't read Marvel in quite a while because of that very said issue. Just a lot of the rebooting, a lot of continuity stuff that just does not make sense. They say they do it for a reason so they can get new readers, but I don't even know if they will fully even understand what's going on if they try to even start rebooting things again.
Yeah,
they gotta put more of an emphasis on the classic stories and just start re-release them, and there's a better way to get into it than that's the way to get into it. Like just read something, read like a popular or classic story from said company or said characters, and that's where you start off with. And I think that's the way to go. Don't start getting into like something off the rack at the comic book store, because you're probably going to be lost 9 times out of 10 of what's going on.
Definitely go with trade paperbacks for and like recommendations for X-Men or Batman or Superman or what have you. Just like that will be a better bet, because you're in a cluster shot of trying to figure out which ones are worth having or not, and it's a bigger problem I think for Marvel, because they're trying to inject new blood while keeping their old heroes, and it's like these people are like 35 years old forever, so you're going to encounter some weird continuity stuff, and it just gets more and more confused. Like I have still not forgiven Marvel for one more day of for Spider-Man literally making a deal with the devil for almost no reason that made J. Michael Straczynski said, to hell with this, take my name off the comic, I don't want it, I'm leaving. and just like that kind of stuff where it's like it's rebooting but not rebooting, where they don't want to actually commit to that, and so they're just like, oh, let's kind of have reboot sort of in everything but name only. And for it's you don't need to it and also of course like there's stuff with I don't know if you heard about this recent problem that Marvel's had, but they had the Palestinian. No, I'm sorry, not Palestinian. That's wrong. The Muslim comic book artist have allusions to the Quran where they specifically cited verses that were against Jews and Christians. So it's just like, you fucking idiots! Did nobody look at this?
That's kind of goes to show
It's
why they're at where they're at.
Yeah, and it's like they're both not being conscious of not enough of what they're putting out, as well as being too conscious in terms of the representation that they have, to where that like it's not like in the 70s when they were going with dark with Daredevil and just like having storylines about drug abuse or losing faith or doing something that that actually questioned the character's morality. It's just characters grandstanding, and like the stuff with especially 2016, the recent elections, like that just churned up the hornet's nest of problems. And Marvel, I love you. I love growing up with so many of your different titles, but just turn it around. Just like give yourself a fresh break. Have a reboot. It's like a Snickers commercial. You're not yourself when you don't have a reboot.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I know this wasn't a part of the question, but this is just more towards me because I am familiar more with DC characters than Marvel, and I mean, they also have more stuff going on too. DC, they have their, I think they're part of the same company. I could be wrong, maybe affiliates or subsidiaries, but isn't Vertigo or part of DC?
Yeah, that was actually a big thing because Swamp Thing and I think John Constantine weren't a part of DC's lineup until they were bought up by Vertigo and Sandman. And then they...
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, and then they just tried to incorporate it all, and now they're doing this kind of weird thing where they're trying to incorporate Watchmen.
Yeah, I have the issue. I haven't read it yet. Since I've been going digital, I've been downloading the recent stuff that's been going on. I haven't been caught up to it yet, but I'm actually gonna read it today. I'm gonna read the current Batman lineup that's going on right now, and that's supposed to.
Batman's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be leading towards some type of Watchmen crossover or some kind of mini event. They also had like a little mini event as well of Suicide Squad and Justice League that I think that's only like a little mini event part that I didn't finish.
Okay, cool.
But at least they got stuff going on. I mean, they have that.
Yeah,
and they have like other subsidiaries that are going on. I mean, Vertigo. There's a lot of great titles from there. I would personally love to see Why the Last Man TV show. That'd be awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's something.
I only read the first volume of Why the Last Man, but it's definitely a good story from what I read.
Oh yeah, overall, I mean, even near towards the end was really good. It's definitely can be really made for TV.
HBO or Showtime.
Yeah, either one of those. That'd be really cool. I know there's something that's been kind of trying to get off the ground for years, but we'll see what happens with that. I'm not really in a rush if they do it or not, but who knows? Like they can be hit and miss when it comes to these adaptations.
And speaking of adaptations, the only other thing I could really think of in terms of Marvel properties I like to see adapted, I guess it would be they're doing Runaways on Hulu, I think. No, the Inhumans I think are on Hulu, and then Runaways is on something else. I think it's on ABC.
Oh man, did you see the official photo from the Inhumans TV show?
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened, which we will not talk about because that one was just kind of weird.
Yeah, we'll see how the actual finished product comes out, but that was the thing.
I gave them I gave Thor the first film a lot of grief just because I didn't really like how it was looking in pictures, and then loved how it was moving in actual in cinema. So I might feel differently about this. It looks very comic book associated in terms of kind of the look and design, and not really toning it down. Um, I'm sorry. The only other thing I was thinking of is like it's weird because I think X-Men would make an excellent TV show, like a live action TV show, if they, uh, especially if they tried to focus on, which is weird. Like this would be a perfect fit for the CW because it's all about like teenage angst and drama and school. And if they did that with the Xavier Home for Wayward Special Kids who could kill people with their minds, that would make an interesting show. Like that's the only thing I can think of. That was kind of what they did with Legion, which is also a really good show. I'd suggest checking that out.
Cool, that's good.
Yeah, but besides that, like they've got everything. Like everything is being adapted, and the only thing I can think of, they're also doing Cloak and Dagger. I know nothing about Cloak and Dagger. I think maybe Squirrel Girl as like a comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's it.
I've heard that. I've heard that thrown around here and there.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question tag.
Yep.
I'll brush
Thank
up
you,
on my Marvel characters to think about to see a TV show. But for sure, Moon Knight would have been a choice that I would have picked. 'Cause I did read that same run that you were referring to back when. Oh, it feels like a long time ago, but that's kind of I think that was a Garth Ennis.
Was it Garth Ennis or Warren Ellis?
I mixed them up. Sometimes I don't. I mix them up. Sometimes I associate them with different projects. One of the two, Garth Ennis or Warren. No, Warren Ellis. It was Warren Ellis that started that run, and that first issue run was really cool and badass. When I first read it, it was really kind of a really masterful in terms of the panels that were just all detailed, that were all laid out in that first issue run. Really, it
reminded me of Samurai Jack in terms of just like very limited dialogue for the action stuff, and the brilliant setup, and then the action just like bam, 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 bam.
Exactly. There's that. But yeah, I'll brush up on that. I'm gonna catch up on some comics that I need to read and on my Kindle.
Gotta get in your schoolwork.
We had a free comic book day the other day, but as I mentioned to my friend, every day for me is free comic book day. That's all I'll say. Other than that, I certainly appreciate the question tag. Keep them coming. I'm glad that we're back on recording again.
Yes.
Thank
you very much.
We're 2 weeks away from the release of the new season of Twin Peaks on Showtime, and I'm utterly so excited for it. I'm going to rewatch the show again before it comes out. I'm so damn excited. Like, you got to understand, CH. David Lynch on a good budget can do amazing things.
I love Mulholland Drive. I love what was it, California Road?
There's Lost Highway.
Lost Highway. Yep.
We talked about a couple times. I want to watch that again too. And Blue Velvet is great.
Oh yeah, and of course it's enjoyable weirdness, and even his and once again, Twin Peaks was the maybe most quote unquote commercial thing he had ever done.
Yeah, his most commercial and most successful thing he's done for sure.
Yeah, and it's still nuts by any other standard, and of course Dune, which nobody knew what the hell that was.
That's one David Lynch movie I haven't seen. I've been meaning to see it. I've heard very mixed things on it. I'm not completely familiar with the source material. Dune has also been in the book series that I've been wanting to read too. I guess the conflicts of the movie and the book are vastly different, but I think there's probably a whole documentary explaining how that all unfolded. I think the work on Doom and everything. That's kind of like, maybe it wasn't David Lynch's most fun times was working on that.
No, from all the reports, it was a mess, and that they were glad that they got anything out of it. The book is good. I really like the book.
I've heard great things about it.
The problem is that it's like a lot of people say, like, how are you going to make this into a movie or a TV show? And they just mean that in terms of like it's really expansive and it's got a lot of characters. A lot of these things are thoughts and philosophy related, which is incredibly hard to do in a visual, auditory medium like film or TV. And there's not a lot of characters who bounce off those ideas, which is the only thing I could think about is like doing it more like The Expanse TV adaptation, which by the way, love that show, where they change some story around. They have characters, confronting one another about their ideas and beliefs, and getting the politics a little bit more up front rather than just, okay, it's in their minds, and so you could read what they're thinking about. So yeah, that's the only way I could see them doing Dune, is if they kind of maneuvered around and got a few more characters in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, it's very well-revered sci-fi book. I'm all for sci-fi. I love reading sci-fi. Yeah, I'm just so excited. CH, the hype is real for me. Getting new content from David Lynch for after many years of not really having made anything since his last kind of independent movie, and he made I think made off a camcorder. Really, essentially, it's kind of what his budget was. It's a camcorder and a couple calls with some friends. And here we go. We got a 3-hour movie here.
That's what he loves doing. That.
And I mean, it's even when he doesn't have a huge budget, he still does some interesting stuff. But him on a budget and having a little bit more creative control, which is kind of what it seems like Showtime gave him. It gave him a lot of creative control over bringing the show back for a limited, just a season, bringing it back for a season to kind of tie up loose ends on kind of how season 2 ended. It's fantastic. It's just fantastic. It can only mean nothing but great, weird things. I'm so
even
excited.
If it's not good, it'll be something to talk about.
Still,
and
yeah. I mean, just what
the problem is, I don't know if I can ever judge what is a good David Lynch thing or not. Because it's like, it was really weird. Yeah, but that's David Lynch. So it was a good movie. No, not really. Well, then it was a bad movie. No, not really.
It depends on kind of how you look at it. I have my own ways of analyzing Lynch's stuff. Oh
no, I love him too. I absolutely, and I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. One of my favorite directors. We need more like him. He does things out of the box.
Absolutely, just the scene of Mulholland Drive of the random two guys at a diner talking about like there's something behind this garbage, and there's like the witch just like suddenly appears, like slides back, and the guy has a heart attack.
I mean, and in his own metaphorical sense, there was some symbolism going on. It had something to do with the main story, even though if you don't pay attention to it, probably it was just random. But there's more to it. He's very abstract like that. He's very philosophical. He's got a lot of symbolism in his movies. What I like about him is that he never really discusses the meanings of his movies, because sometimes he probably don't even know his own meanings. So all the times he does, but he'd rather just kind of people figure it out, interpret it in their own way. That's kind of what art is, really.
One of my favorite quotes from him was he was having an interview with like someone from Entertainment News or something, and they were asking him about Mulholland Drive, and he goes like, "Well, I think Mulholland Drive is my most religious film." And then the interviewer's like, "Oh, do you want to expand upon that?" And he just goes, "No." And there is something to be said about someone who can just put forth what their soul is all about, and that's what I think David Lynch does every single time he makes something. And I'm looking forward to seeing Twin Peaks come back, and now that you got it in my head, I'm going to be watching that and watching the show before it comes out again.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the time, I love to talk about it with you and do our own kind of episodic reviews, like what we're doing with Game of Thrones. I still like to do that again. That's another segment that I wanted to do again with you in some way, shape, or form, but whether it be a new show or something reoccurring. I think that certainly is something that I wanted to bring back, and also wanted to bring back kind of watching and reviewing movies under the radar, direct to DVD movies.
Oh man,
I saw
I
a
love
trailer.
those.
I saw a trailer for a movie, an alien abduction movie starring Wesley Snipes, and it's perfect.
Say no
Perfect for our
more.
discussions.
You had me at Wesley Snipes.
But that's a discussion for another day. But any other ideas you guys may have at home, feel free to let us know what else we could do. Look forward to all the stuff. I'm glad we got to talk today and talk about all the great games we've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead and end this because the way that we always bounce off each other, we're gonna end up overshooting our estimated recording time.
Oh yes, oh yeah. I think now would be a very good time.
So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. This is episode 187 or 88 of Little
88
Thumbs podcast. I know we had that lost episode. It's 188 episode edition of Bloody Thumbs podcast. I am Spooner47. It's good to see you or talk to you, CH. I'm actually seeing you right now, but it's good to picture you in my head metaphorically.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening, and I will be signing out, and gravitas to everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to us, and we will see you all tomorrow. Or, sorry, not tomorrow. Next episode. I misspoke.
Don't give them that expectation.
I won't give them that expectation. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Do not expect me to have this episode up for you tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you,
Good
everybody.
night.
Take it easy.